In this video, I'm going to compare Bloated Windows 10 install versus a completely fresh Windows 10 install. I've put a little bit of software on here, like some web browsers, but this one over here has come with the HP install with McAfee and a whole bunch of other software installed on there, whereas this is just a fresh install of Windows 10. And these are identical machines. So let's switch these on at the same time. Okay, so they're booting up. It looks like they're booting up at the same time. So we should be able to see which one's quicker to get to the desktop. This one has actually got to the desktop quicker, even though this is the one with all the different tools, like there's some kind of HP support assistant, there's McAfee, there's Amazon store, there's Microsoft store, that's on this one as well. There's Dropbox on this one. So we've booted up. Surprisingly, this one was quicker. Let's have a look at the memory usage in Task Manager, and you'll be able to see the system as in the specifications of the computer. They're both an Intel Celeron N3060. They've both got 2 GB of RAM. This one is using 1.3 GB and this one is using 1.1. So the fresh install is using less memory over here. And this one's not really doing much. This one is probably doing some Windows updates. The processor is dual core and turbo is up to 2.4 gigahertz. And if we have a look at the number of processors, this has got 92 processors and 1,500 threads. This has got 59 processors and 1,000 threads. So there's a lot more going on over here. And it looks like it hasn't properly shut down because the uptime is much higher. So let's check the disk space of both devices, see which one has the most available. This one was factory reset, but still has all of the additional software on it. So this one's got 13.5 gigabytes free. This one only has 9.44 gigabytes free. So all of that extra software has used up more space. So I'll put this monitor over to one side and we'll see this one on this side wasn't able to install Microsoft Edge. It would just crash and get stuck trying to install. So I've got Chrome installed on both so that there is a fair comparison with both systems. So I'll try and set this up. So you can see with this open, this is using 1.5 gigabytes of RAM, this is using 1.4 gigabytes of RAM. So it's going to affect potentially how many tabs we can open and whether it will start using the swap file. So I'll just click these at the same time. This one's gone a little bit slower. Let's do some more clicking. This one's again slower. I'm going to go over and then I'm going to click at exactly the same time on both. And this one again has managed to open the page quicker. I'm not sure why. This is using 1.7 gigabytes of RAM. This is using 1.4, still quite low. Let's reject the cookies. Let's hover over this, and I'm going to press it at the same time. That was about the same. Let's go to the next one. Wait for this one to finish loading. Again, this one was quicker. Not sure why it is, but perhaps the additional software on here is scanning files as they're downloaded. That is a possibility. Here we've got an annoying pop-up from McAfee on this one. Okay, I'm going to go to download the Passmark software. And I'm going to make sure I click at the same time. Scrolling at the same time. And then I'm going to click download at the same time. I'm going to get rid of this pop-up. The downloads are happening at, this one is slightly quicker. This one has finished quicker, this one finished second. And let's go and open these. This one was quicker for some reason on this side. So let's run this and I'll double click at the same time. This one's come up with the prompt sooner. I'll wait for this one to catch up. And I'll click the buttons at the same time on both so that we can see how long it takes to install. Which one's going to win? Okay, it looks like this one on the left. No, this one. Wow. Well, that was a strange surprise. So we'll launch this on both. I'll close all the other applications such as Chrome and File Explorer. I'll also get rid of Task Manager. This one is now using less memory. I know this has gone down to 1.3, this is at 1.5. So we'll get rid of Task Manager. And we will run the same test on both when it is ready. This is collecting information about the system. It might tell us some of the temperature information, but yeah, it's got the CPU temperature. This is at 58 degrees C. This one is at 53.5. That's interesting. This is the one that I took apart over here and replaced the thermal paste and things like that. So you'd think this one might be cooler, but it's not. It is a very hot day today. Still collecting temperatures. Let's see how far it gets, and then we can run all of the tests. Okay. and I'll start these at the same time. This one has crashed during the DirectX 3D tests. I'm not sure why that is doing that. There's a warning message there. Oh no, it's back again. It's a bit odd, maybe this one overheated. Or it might be thermal throttling, or it might not have the same driver version as this one, but I can double check that when this is all finished. Yeah, I suspect it may be a driver issue. So this one seems to have got stuck on this graphics test. This one has moved on to the memory test. So the maximum temperature is 51 degrees C, so that's not too alarming. But it does seem to have crashed. So I'll try rerunning it on this. We'll come back when it's all finished. Okay, so this one completed. This one I've run again and it has got to the same point and crashed. So if we looked at the CPU mark, this one would win, 779 compared to 512. However, this actually completed the test and gave us a full pass mark rating, whereas this is missing the memory mark and the disk mark over here. So it's a tricky one to call. If all you care about is CPU mark, this one's won. If you compare about the whole thing working and running through the test, this one. So maybe I'll give this a draw and a CPU win for this one. And I'll just run the CPU mark again just to see how they compare, just running that. Okay, now that we've run that test specifically, they've got identical CPU scores. So that's a draw on that. I'm gonna now have to run some more tests and I'll run the memory mark and see how they compare. Okay, so the memory test completed. This is a slightly better memory speed. Again, these should be identical hardware in here. If there's other processors running on this and it's using the memory, that could slow it down. So let's run disk mark on both of these and see how that compares. Okay, so this has got a higher score on the left, 877. This is 786. So slight advantage to this for disk, memory, and a draw on the CPU. Slight overall score of a pass mark, higher score there, but this failed to run all of the 3D tests. Let's move on. Once I've got rid of this crash screen, I'll just restart these. In fact, let's see how long they take to restart. See which one's quicker. This one's come up with apps that it needs to close. So we'll click restart anyway. This one's shutting down quicker. And this one got to the desktop quicker, so this one restarted quicker. We're still waiting for this one. Okay, so let's go to YouTube and check video playback. So I'll press enter at the same time. This one's loaded the page quicker. But they're still quite slow. They are slow laptops. It's when you've got slow machines that eking out all of the performance, or as much performance as possible, really matters. So all this bloatware appears to be slowing this down, but we'll look at the results at the end. I'll press enter at the same time. This one's come up with the results quicker. And we'll press the button at the same time. I'll make this full screen at the same time.
It's the autumn summer sale. Pick up the Samsung Galaxy S.
I'll mute the audio. I'll switch to widescreen. They both did that at about the same time. I'll see if I can hit skip at the same time. And we'll bring up the stats. So they're both VP09, 360p, one dropped frame over here, one dropped frame over here. So let's go to full screen. Again, this one seems a little bit quicker. And we will select a different, oh, it is on 720p. Let's check this. Also 720p. So this one's dropped 77 frames. This one still says it's only dropped one frame. It does seem to be further along in the video, even though I pressed skip at the same time. It's taken this one longer to get there. Okay, it's interesting that they both sort of buffered around the same point. Oh, and it's reset the frame count. So this is still dropping frames, 13 dropped frames. This is one dropped frame. So this one over here is doing better at YouTube playback. So let's run WebGL Aquarium. I've clicked them both at the same time. This one is loading quicker. This one's coming in second. And we'll wait for it to load all of the detail in. It's taking a surprisingly long amount of time. This one is clearly winning in loading all the textures. I think it's done them all, whereas this one is still loading. It's been quite a long time and we're still waiting for this one. This one is running at roughly 60 frames per second over here. This one is sort of fluctuating quite a lot, around the 45-50, sometimes up to 59-60 frames per second, but it is still loading all of the detail. And I think we've got it all. Almost. We're still missing this little ship. Got the ship. So it's still got the spinning wheel at the top. So it's still loading something. It's just surprising how slow this one is. Maybe McAfee is trying to scan everything as it comes onto the laptop. Okay, it's finally finished and we're getting 60 frames per second. Some of the time we're getting a pretty solid 60 frames per second all of the time on this one over here. Okay, and I think that just leaves one more test to run. And if you're familiar with the channel, you might be able to guess what that test is. Okay, let's go. Let's put the settings to be exactly the same on both. So high quality. And I'll also turn the sound down. And then let's run a time demo. And I'll press enter at the same time on both. This one seemed quicker. It doesn't seem to make much sense, but this got 169 frames per second. This one got 128 frames per second. So again, this one with less software installed is doing better than this one. So there we go. Let's just sum up the results. There we go. This one over here is still using 1.5 gigabytes of RAM. This one is down to 0.9 gigabytes of RAM, and that makes a big difference when you're running different software. So boot speed, this one seemed to win that one. RAM usage, this one's winning. Disk space left, this one's winning. The internet, this one loaded quicker. WebGL Aquarium, this one loaded quicker. YouTube, this one seemed more responsive. Passmark scores, it was very close, but again, this one had the advantage. And in Quake 3, this one also had the advantage. So a clean install of Windows 10 is going to give you better performance than a bloated install with all sorts of different McAfee and HP software on that you don't necessarily need. There's Amazon, Booking.com, all sorts of different things like Dropbox, various different HP tools that you simply don't need. You know, I don't have a printer connected to this. Why would I want these print tools? You know, all of this is slowing this down and meaning that there are a whole lot of things running on this that don't need to be there. This has got 101 processors right now. This has got 57. So there we go. That's kind of a fairly strong conclusion that a fresh, clean install of Windows is going to be better than a bloated one. as we sort of all expected anyway. Yes, there may be a few little driver differences between the two devices. This one had some 3D issues, but overall, with the same hardware, we can see that Windows 10 fresh install is better than this bloated install over here. If you found this interesting, leave a comment. If you've enjoyed watching it, feel free to hit like, and if you want to see more like this, hit subscribe. And you can become a channel member if you want. Also, let me know what you want to see. What do you want to see compared? You know, we've now got a quicker Windows 10 install here, so we can compare this to different operating systems that we can put onto this laptop and compare side by side. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. See you in another video. They are both running Windows 10 Home version 15.11. And this is the one on the left.